Hey, what's up guys? It's Bovinax, Legion's almost here, and I bet there's a lot of new players out there coming to the game that need a little bit of guidance. But even if you've been playing for a while, there still might be some helpful hints on this list. World of Warcraft is a hard game to get into because there's so much to learn about as a new player. But this video is about the gameplay basics. How to be good in PVE, i.e. raiding in dungeons, or whatever. And my favorite, PVP, i.e. battlegrounds and arenas, preferably raided. So even though some of the things on this list may seem very simple or elementary, they are still crucial to being a good WoW player, and you will be set apart leaps and bounds compared to someone who does not use the things on this list. So let's kick things off with number 1, keybindings. This is very important for in-game PvP and PvE, but essentially it makes all parts of the game easier and your skill better. I'll be honest with you, if you're just attacking a target dummy, clicking versus keybindings, there probably won't be much of a difference as far as damage or output. But if you keybind your abilities, this will not only improve your character movement drastically, because you won't have to be using your mouse to click on anything, but your reaction time will be so much better. You can be focusing on what's going on around you instead of having your eyes locked on your action bar. It takes time to memorize keybindings, and it was a struggle for me personally to make this transition, but it is very important to being a good player. It improves other aspects of your game and is required to compete. It takes practice to get that muscle memory, but trust me, it's worth it. Plus, you will not be called a clicker in your epic PvP montages. I would not go so far as to say an MMO gaming mouse is required, but I strongly recommend it. Step 2, macros. Macros may seem daunting to new players, but don't worry. Just very simple macros are easy to make and can help you consolidate some of your cooldowns. As a warrior myself, there used to be crucial macros that I had to have, for example, a stance macro that shifted in between battle and defensive stance. However, I no longer have stances as a Fury Warrior. #stop the prune. But just to start off with, to keep it simple, you should have a macro that consolidates all of your big dick DPS cooldowns into a single click. This is very easy to do. Just create a new macro, then go to your spellbook and shift left click to the abilities you want to use simultaneously in one button. Keep in mind, not all abilities will be activated at once if they are not on the global cooldown, but clicking one button multiple times to activate things, even if they are not on the GCD, is probably better than having two separate keybindings. For example, as a warrior, you can make a macro that casts slash charge and slash mortal strike, and even though you can't use both of these abilities simultaneously, they're consolidated into a macro that you can click to charge and then click to mortal strike. You should make macros that consolidate your DPS cooldowns when you need to do a lot of damage, and sometimes managing cooldowns isn't as simple as that, but it's good to have something that pops everything at once so you don't have to click on the abilities individually one at a time. The same can be said for defensive cooldowns. Step 3, turning. I see a lot of people that still keyboard turn, and this is a huge disadvantage as far as character movement, especially in PvP. You need to use your mouse to turn. To do this, you hold down the right mouse button, and then you move the mouse to turn. Using A and D to turn, or the arrow keys like I used to, will seriously hinder your movement. Essentially, using the keyboard to turn your character is just a permanent debuff that hinders your movement and mobility. You want a move forward key, a strafe left key, a strafe right key, and then a move back key is optional. To be honest, you really don't need that unless you are a monk juking with roll. But I still have move back bound. For me personally, I use A and D as strafe left and strafe right, and Q and E for ability keybinds. Turning with the mouse and not the keyboard goes hand in hand with using keybinds. You need to be using your mouse to move instead of using it to click your abilities. Trust me, it is so much better that way. I've experienced both spectrums, and I'm so much better now that I've made that switch. Step 4, rotation and stats. You need to know your character's rotation, what's hit when, etc. A lot of things are situational. You need to be prepared to use Rallying Cry as a warrior or Barskin as a druid, Time Warp as a mage, okay, the list goes on. Well, you don't necessarily use it whenever it comes off. You need to wait for the right time. Learn a specific rotation for your character's spell abilities and such for max output, but don't get so used to doing the same rotation repeatedly and not be prepared to use a situational cooldown if it is needed. If you are playing on a higher level, you notice things and react and play differently to adapt. In PvP and raiding, you're not just sitting there repeating the same rotation constantly. You need to keep other factors in mind and use your abilities and utility to the highest extent possible to adhere to the situation and counter the obstacles thrown at you. You also need to know your character's stat priority. I see Veins as a decent place for this, but it is not always 100% accurate. I recommend checking out some of my fellow Warcraft YouTubers, and there are plenty, who give specifics of what abilities you need to be using, when and what your stat priority is, and the best slot items you need to have and why. Step 5. So the final item on this list is add-ons. Add-ons really provide endless benefits to your character, even outside of serious content. There are a wide range of add-ons that serve many different purposes. Install the Curse client to easily install add-ons. It is kind of up to you as far as what kind of add-ons you want to use, how you want your UI to look, etc. For me, I really like the Bartender add-on because it allows me to easily keybind abilities, but in general, my UI is pretty similar to the default Blizzard style. If you are raiding, add-ons like DBM or Iskar Assist are likely mandatory, and some guilds might use other add-ons like RC Loot Council and Angry Assignments to distribute gear or make groups for bosses or whatever. There are so many add-ons and so many of them are so beneficial, it would be hard to play without them. I strongly recommend using add-ons that best fit your playstyle and help you perform better. You should experiment with a bunch of different add-ons, and if you don't like them, you can always just disable or uninstall them. That wraps up this video, guys. It wasn't super detailed and pretty straightforward. I know a lot of this is common sense to players with a lot of experience, but for newer players and long-time players looking to grow their skill, I hope this video helped you out. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions or dispute any of these tips, please let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to get back to you as soon as I can. I answer all comments. Thanks again for watching. I have a lot more content on this channel soon regarding Legion, so get hyped. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.